to my channel. If you're new here, hi, welcome. My name is Deborah, or Deb, or Debbie, or Deborah. You can call me whatever floats your boat as long as it kind of sounds like my actual name. And I make YouTube videos about whatever the heck I want to make them about. And today I've decided to sit down and make a video talking about my favorite houseplants at the moment that are especially easy to love and care for. So recently, if you follow my Instagram, which if you're not, what are you waiting for? Go do it. If you follow my Instagram, you'll probably notice that I post quite a few plant pictures or plant videos on my stories. And I guess ever since I moved here, I've just been collecting a lot of plants. I actually own more plants than I've ever owned in my entire life at once right now. And my love for plants didn't start when I moved here. I actually started loving plants before I moved, but the space that I have is limited, and so I couldn't really expand my collection in the way that I wanted to. But anyway, now I've become a self-proclaimed plant mom. I'm still new to this, so it's tricky in some cases, and I'm just learning as I go essentially. But I just wanted to sit down and share a few of my favorite plants that I feel like are semi easy to love and care for. Some of them are like beginner friendly, and some of them they kind of need a little more love and attention. You don't want to ignore them for too long, otherwise they get mad at you. Some are a little sassy and dramatic, but not too much. And I feel like it's important to have plants in your space just because there's just this, energy that plants bring to a space. I don't know, maybe it's because they're living things. They just make your space seem a lot more inviting and comforting and warm and homey. And again, some of these plants are good for like purifying the air and also artistic in their own right. But I just wanted to sit down and kind of share my current favorite plants. So let's get right into the video. So the first one that I've got here is a Peperomia Tousifolia, aka a baby rubber plant. I actually had one like this back home, but obviously I had to give it away because I was moving. But honestly, these are, in my opinion, super easy to care for. They will tell you when they need to be watered. Like right now, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the leaves are looking a little, kind of like, sad and not as perky, which means she's trying to tell me that, okay, I'm getting a little thirsty. I could maybe last one more day, and then you might need to water me. So I'm gonna let her dry out for a little longer because she doesn't like to sit in moist water. She likes to be dry in between waterings, and most like rubber plants are like that. They like to dry out in between waterings, but you want to water them enough. And then in terms of sunlight, I don't place her like directly in sun. She receives bright indirect sunlight, and that's what she likes. And it really does help her thrive and grow. Yeah, this is what she looks like. She's so pretty. She's like one of my favorites. I don't have any favorites, but she's like one of my favorites. But she's so pretty, and I did notice that one of the leaves was getting a little like dark circle. Like it looked like I might have overwatered at some point, which is why I'm just letting it really dry out, just to make sure that I'm not causing any root rot or anything like that. So we've got our Peperomia Tousifolia here. Really, really, really gorgeous plant. I feel like anybody could, like, if you are like an intermediate level plant mom or plant dad or plant person, you might enjoy having this. I feel like this is one plant that everybody should have in their collection. So the next plant that I have here is a Pothos. This was one of the first ones that I got when I picked up, and it has actually grown so much in the matter of like a month and a bit. I'm actually really impressed. The Pothos is like one that I will say a beginner should get because it's so easy to care for. it doesn't like to be watered frequently, so it likes to dry out in between waterings, and so if you forget to water it, it won't like die. Again, this is one of the kind of plants that will let you know when it's really needing water. So like a couple of days ago, the leaves were like kind of droopy and it was looking a little sad, and then I watered it and now she's perked right back up, you know. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's got like some variegation on its leaves, but I don't think it's really a variegation. I think it happens so if it doesn't get like adequate sunlight, all the leaves just turn green. But if it gets, you know, varied amounts of sun, then it will have like the white patches. And then in terms of sunlight, it can do well in like an area that's not well lit, but it does like bright indirect sunlight. So the Pothos is definitely one of my favorites. And if you're a beginner looking to get into plants more, I definitely suggest getting a Pothos to start with. Very, very easy to care for. All right, so the next plant that I have here is a Monstera, and I believe this is a Monstera deliciosa. And what makes me say that is that if you can see right here, the leaves is finally starting to have that like Swiss cheese division. So when I first picked it up, the leaves are just like, you know, flat. There's no division or like cutting in it. But I recently noticed that one of it is getting this, so I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if all of the leaves are gonna become that way, or it's just going to be varied in a sense. But this one is like, she's impressive. When I picked her up, again, she was like one of the first ones that I picked up. When I picked her up, she was, you know, just like a few stalks, but now she's gone like really, really big, and I can kind of see like a few more stalks trying to pop out, and I'm really, really, really excited. But I'm really impressed with the amount of growth that this has been given. And in terms of like care, my Monstera likes to be kept moist, so I do water her frequently, like every 2 days or 3 days. I just kind of check the soil level and see how her leaves are looking. If she starts to droop a little, then I know she needs more water. So yeah, she does like to have her soil kept moist. And in terms of sunlight, I like to give her bright indirect light, so that, you know, that I think she really likes that, because it really does help her bloom and grow and get bigger. And one thing about these plants that I think anybody can like start off with is the fact that they're drought resistant, so you could forget to water her and she'd still be okay. And even if you place her in like a bright, like, well, in like a low light or dark spot, she'd still be fine. She wouldn't thrive, but she wouldn't die just yet. So she's a quite resistant and strong baby girl. So if you're like trying to get more into plants, or you're looking to start like your plant collection, I definitely suggest adding a Monstera into it, just because they're like just so easy to love and care for, I feel like, you know. And then another point that I want to make is that I feel like all plants, there's like a general guideline that you probably want to follow in terms of amount of water and light, but then when it comes down to it, I feel like each plant is different in terms of what it really needs. Like each species, let's say like what my Monstera needs might be different from what your Monstera needs, because ultimately they're like different plants, even if they're the same species. So you just want to kind of like listen to what your plant is trying to tell you, and, you know, look at it frequently and inspect it frequently. So if the leaves are turning yellow, it might be because you're watering it too much, not watering a lot, or it's getting too much sunlight, and you just kind of want to pay attention to each individual plant. I know it sounds like it's a lot of work, but as someone that loves plant, I don't know, it just seems like a fun time to me to go around and see what my plants are needing or what they're not needing. But I just thought I'd include that sidebar. So the next plant here is my purple inch plant. She's my pride and joy. When I picked her up about a month ago, she pretty much had like 2 stalks, just, you know, nothing crazy. But now she's got like 1, 2, 3, and there's like 2 baby ones growing on the side too, and she's like growing so long. She's the kind of plant that will just kind of trail and just become bushy. And I'm really excited to see how big she can get. So this girl, she's easy. Like, she's so easy. You just need to keep her moist and keep her in a bright location, and she's good. So she likes to be kept moist, she likes her water, and with the Monstera, I water her about the same time as I water my Monstera. So about every 2 to 3 days, I just go and touch the top of the soil. If it's feeling a little dry, then I water it. And also look at her leaves, and I like to see what she's trying to tell me with the health and condition of her leaves. And if her leaves are looking, you know, like a little wilty, a little softer, then I go in for water. In terms of sunlight, I used to place her like right directly in front of my big large window, and she seemed to like that. But I have moved her over to this little plant station that I have going on. I don't know, she seems to be drying out a little bit, so I might move her back to the spot that she was at before. I think she really did like that spot. But honestly, she's so easy. You just need to find her a bright spot, not too bright though, because you don't want her leaves to burn. You need to keep her moist. Just remember to water her every 2 to 3 days. And I say that's like a pretty easy to love plant, and she's going to reward you by growing so deliciously large and long and full, and you can tell she's just happy, you know, and that makes me happy as a plant mother. So the next plant that I have here is a variegated Ficus elastica, aka a rubber plant. So it's variegated because I don't know, as you can see, the leaves have patches of like rings of white just kind of going around the perimeter of the leaves, and the 2 top leaves are also pink in color, which I didn't plan on picking her up, but the moment I saw her, I'm like, I have to have you. You are coming home with me, I don't care. Rubber plants are so easy to care for. They like to dry out in between watering, so like my baby rubber plant, you don't want to water them too often. They like to dry out in between waterings, and then when you do water them, just water them well and make sure that there's no water sitting in the pot, because they don't like to sit in, you know, water. And they also like bright indirect sunlight, and that is what works best to help them thrive and grow. But yeah, like she's so pretty. Like, look at her. Oh, yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites at the moment for sure. It makes me so happy to see her. All right, so the next plants that I've got here are the Marantha leuconura, aka prayer plants. They're twins. I got them at the same time. This one's June and this one's Bug. And these ones I'd classify as more of a intermediate, because they do require a little bit of attention. I don't know if you can tell, June is looking a little bit scorched on one of her leaves, and that's because she was getting a little bit too much direct sunlight. And so yeah, that's one thing. They like indirect sunlight, so just so the leaves their leaves don't get scorched. Their leaves are really soft, so they can't really tolerate a lot of sun hitting their leaves. And then another thing is don't want their soil to dry out. Once like the top starts to dry, you want to water them. So they're also one of the ones that I water every couple of days or every 3 days. And one more thing, you also do not want water to touch their leaves, because they're susceptible to fungus and fungal growth on their leaves, and that's no bueno. So when you're watering, just make sure you're watering only the soil and not letting any water touch your leaves. Okay, and finally we've got a snake plant. This plant definitely deserves a shout, because it's probably like the lowest maintenance plant that you could ever own. If you are new to plant care, or if you are susceptible to killing and murdering plants, then Sansevieria is definitely one that you want to start off with, just because it's so chill, it's low key. It doesn't like to be watered often. It can tolerate any sunlight level, and it's just generally an easy plant. I think since I've got this plant, which has probably at 3 weeks maybe at this point, 2.5 weeks, I've watered it only once, and I think it's okay still. So that's like the beauty about these plants. I actually have another Sansevieria. It's just sitting over there. I picked it up from IKEA. There's just something weird about that plant. It's not, doesn't seem to have taken root into its soil yet, so it's just weird. But it still looks like it's fine. It just might not grow well. But yeah, sansevierias or snake plants are definitely another plant type that so easy to care for. If you kill it, yeah, there's something about that. But yeah, those are pretty much all the plants that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm really excited to start to continue to introduce more plants and greenery into my space. Plants just make a space feel a lot cozier and nicer, and I'm really excited for that. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel because it really does help me out. I'm excited to make more videos maybe surrounding plants. We'll see if I get more plants. I might do a plant tour. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to share for today, and I will see you guys next time in another video. Bye! Life would be like if we were dreaming and together we were wishing, 'cause now I'm living in the city and you're back